Good afternoon, everybody. Gary here. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2014, day 184. Today's the day that the weathermen got the forecast right. It got what most everybody in Alabama considers to be cold. I consider today to be chilly, and that's because, as a previous blog post stated, I have been cold. We're above zero today. This ain't cold. But I've been very busy. I left the house about 2:50 a.m. this morning and got to work, clocked in right before 4. It's currently 6 p.m. I'm still here, as you can see by the wonderful decor behind me. And going to be heading home very soon, though, because I've already clocked out, and I'm just doing this so I can get it posted and go home. My workload today, fortunately, was very little actual problems, even though after I've clocked in, I've pretty much gone constantly since I got here. A lot of the problems, I'd say well over 60, 70, 71%, according to what I put on the writing part, because it's got to add up to 100 or it doesn't make any sense. Somewhere around that neighborhood was caused because it's natural human nature. When the outside conditions change, your body feels different. So the 72 yesterday that they were comfortable with isn't the same as 72 today for them. And it really is the same 72, especially when you have conditioned air. And it's just your brain making you think it's not. And I'm sure it's backed up with studies that the government spent billions of dollars on, but it's just that thing called common sense. It's what happens. Another part of the problem was the people, these exist everywhere, and I was one of them before I got into the HVAC field, that think that when you change the set point, you should immediately feel the difference. That is possible in contained spaces like my office, but it's not cost effective. You could make it happen, but it's going to cost you a lot of money to make it happen. Most of the time it's a gradual change, which is also the best, because you don't go from, oh my goodness, I'm cold, let's raise the set point from 70 to 76. Oh, 20 minutes later I'm hot, and you lower it back down. That doesn't happen when you do it slowly. So that's been about a little bit more percent of the problem. About 10% of the problem is because when they build buildings on large places like this, they do what you call value engineering. And generally that is done so they can have pretty wall hangings and nice plush carpet and big comfy desk chairs and huge mahogany desk and grand computers and just to make it pretty and all that kind of fun stuff. But usually 99.978257359% of the time, it's the heating and cooling that gets value engineered out of the building. And what happens then is they end up with 10 offices that work off of one thermostat, and the only person in them 10 offices that is ever happy is the person with the thermostat. And of course those are problems year round, not just when it's cold. They change based on the outside air conditions, and there's actually a list of them in the writing today, and they go from what I call 1, which is the least worst, to 10, which is the mostest worstest. And you'll have to read it. I'm not going to go through the list, other than to say that I'm not going to go through the list. You'll just have to read it. I'm going to make you read today. How about that? About a little more than 5% of today's problems were actual problems. We had a couple of things freeze. We had some sensors that read the water pressure freeze on the ends, and the pressure went in one case high, which slowed the pumps down. In another case went low, which sped the pumps way up, which moved the water too fast. That caused problems. And we had a couple of one coil freeze. And we've had a few air handlers that tripped off because of the cold and wouldn't restart. So there's been a few 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% of the stuff that was actual problems. About 4 or 5% of today's problems are because there are people, believe it or not, out here today in 2015 that do not know how to dress themselves. You sit here and you look out my window. The sun had just come up this morning. My outside air station that's tied to my system was telling me that it was 12 degrees. I could see the trees outside my office, the leaves moving, so that means the wind was blowing, so the 12 was probably translating into about 3. Here goes a couple people walking by with no jackets, headed for class. People walking by in just leggings and a t-shirt with a scarf. That's a good one. So yeah, there's people that don't know how to dress themselves. So that was part of the problem. And the last, smallest, thank goodness, group of today's problems is caused by the 1% of people who just can't be made happy, regardless. And I hate that exists, but I'm glad. I'm so glad there's only just a small, minute section of that. But to boil all that down today, they don't make enough aspirin to get rid of my headache, and I'm tired. And what's bad is I'm not tired from the work. I'm a little tired from the work. What makes me the tiredest, and I'm going to read this verbatim from what I typed, it takes an almost superhuman outpouring of restraint, and sometimes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, it's not verbatim, layers of duct tape or maybe some staples, to keep my smart butt lightning-witted, speak 4 days before I think about it, tell them straight like somebody that don't ever want to be their friend, can't believe they ain't got the common sense God gave a dust mite, tell them like it is, mouth shut. And trust me, that's hard, because I was born, as I stated once before on a very earlier blog, with the first time I was going to go see my family in Hueytown after I started this diet and blog, that I was born and well trained to be a smartass. And today it has been very, very, very hard. You'd be surprised when I got told that somebody walked into their office, and I looked at the trend and know for a fact that their office has changed temperature within a half a degree, fluctuating around the set point for 3 months. Yes, I have information like that at my fingertips. I can see what it was doing last year, this time. But for 3 months, the temperature's been changing within half a degree from where we set the set point 3 months ago. Today I was told they walked in their office and their coffee froze. It took a lot, let me tell you. But I held it in, kept it to myself. There was one issue that I did turn all my information over to my boss and told him to handle it, because if I'd handled it, I wouldn't get 3 days off, which is that happens several times where you get in serious trouble. I'd probably get about 30, because I just wanted to, But I was smart. I bit my tongue. I'm glad I can still talk, because for about an hour afterwards, I thought, my head's not here because I bit the end of my tongue. I'm better now. But it's been an interesting day, and that's also just a look into my life here at work on a day that people think's cold. And I'm glad it actually wasn't cold, because we live in Alabama, and while here I could handle some below zero temperatures and keep people comfortable, you couldn't at my house, so I'm glad. Well, that's going to be it for today, because today's a pretty long one, and I need to get this posted and get home, because I don't care what happens tomorrow. I'm not going to be at work till 5 a.m. I'm going to sleep an hour later. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good evening. So for day 184, this is Gary out. Bye.